everyone, and welcome to Dede Talks, the Art of Specialty Lenses. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Marcus Noyes. I'm so happy that you're here, Marcus. I've waited a long time for you to be here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Well, first off, thanks for having me, Dede. It's fun. I'm actually going to derail your first question because I want to tell you quickly about the first time that we ever met. And then I'm going to answer that. So I'm super excited to be here. The very first time that I met you was at the residency GPLI thing. And I think that we instantly became friends because you were what, like, chaperones? Is that
Uh-huh.
fair to say? Okay.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like it. It felt like you were just one of us. So I'm super excited to be talking to you here today. Um, but I'm sorry, go ahead, repeat that question for me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing right now.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm currently at the University of Iowa, in the ophthalmology department there. Excuse me. I do a lot of specialty contact lenses, so sclerals, RGPs, all that sort of stuff. And I think it's very fun because it's a lot of tough cases. We're a referral center, but doing puzzles and things like that is what I like to do. So I feel at home there.
All right, fantastic. So tell us what your favorite part about fitting specialty lenses are.
This is easy. I mean, I jokingly, which is not a joke, tell people I have the best job in the world. When people come to me, they're usually already really bad. So when they come to me, they either get way better or they stay exactly the same. Like nobody really gets worse after they see me with being a specialty lens fitter, which is awesome.
Well,
I'm like the bearer of good news.
that's a good thing.
Oh, I know. It's the
For
best. Like
sure.
people come into me all downtrodden and I'm like, well, let's just try this contact lens. And then they get, way better vision. And then they're crying and I'm crying. And it's all big, happy fun fest.
Yeah, it's like a good shot in golf. If you knock one out of the park, it's like, yes, I did it.
Yeah,
And it's what addicts you again to the whole contact lens thing whenever you get one of those patients that cries in your chair. It's one of the
exactly.
best, it's one of the best feelings ever.
Yeah, and one of the things I mean, I'm sure y'all hear this all the time too, but one of the things I always hear from people is, why has nobody done this before? And there's just so few specialty lens fitters across the country. It's the people just don't have access to it a lot of the times. So
Right.
I just always tell people, this is a pretty rare thing, and thankfully we have a couple of us at the University of Iowa who do this. But yeah, it's just tough.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you advise a practitioner that wanted to get started in specialty lenses?
Yeah, this is great. I get this a lot. And I honestly think the number one thing is, one, you have to be someone who's not gonna dabble. If you're gonna go to specialty lenses, you gotta dive in. And the
Right.
best way, in my opinion, to do that is start going to conferences. See some lectures. All the big names in specialty lenses are there. They hang out. You can pick their brain. You can see their lectures. I can't even the number of messages that we get at the University of Iowa from people who are just like, hey, I was at Academy and ran into you. Can I run this fit past you or something? And we're always happy to help do it. And people help me too. I'm not the number one guru, but yeah, getting involved, conferences, webinars like this, interviews, podcasts, everything.
Yeah, and we see that as well. It's and we're like one big happy family.
Exactly.
We're all like cousins that talk to each other all the time, and there's no stranger, which is one of the best things that I've seen in the industry throughout all of my years.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's like I name a million names of meeting people for the first time, and I'm like, next meeting I see them, they're like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man?" And I'm like, "You remember me?"
So you're a little starstruck. I think it's like,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, exactly.
So tell me about your most life-changing event with specialty lenses.
This is an easy one for me. This is also like the reason why I probably went into specialty lenses, which Maria Walker likes to claim the credit for that, and I will give her half of a point at least. But she was actually my attending in optometry school, and because of that, I was able to start specialty lenses a little earlier than everyone else. And one of my first days in the contact lens clinic, I had a patient come in and um, he was a little mentally handicapped, and he was like 2,400. His mom had to lead him around with a walking a cane, and just because he had such poor vision. I remember that day we put a GP on his eyes, and he saw like 2040 or 2060 or something like amazing for him. And when we were done with the exam, when we were walking out, his at the checkout desk, his mom started crying. And I was like, "Are you okay? Like, we did a good thing for you." And she's like, "He forgot his cane in the room." And I was like, "Waterworks."
Oh yeah.
Until he started joining her, and I was like, "Wow, I didn't even notice." And this guy actually forgot, and he told me at the checkout desk that he was excited that he didn't have to use his cane anymore because it would let him pick up chicks, quote unquote. And it was just one of those really heartwarming experiences. And straight from that, I was like, wow, if I could do this to someone, I mean, even just once was amazing, but
Right.
on a consistent basis, yeah, it's like a blessing almost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what do you feel is your specialty lens modality of choice and why?
So I know that I might get some flack from this, but I love sclerals. I know all the young people do. They're great. I don't have anything against GPs or hybrids or anything like that, but um, for me, doing the sclerals, you don't have to adapt to the comfort like a GP. Also, damn near everyone has dry eye these days, and
Mm-hmm.
they have kind of the added bonus of helping with dryness. So I usually will go to a scleral unless it is not indicated, and then I would flip to a GP hybrid, something along those lines.
So, you really are using sclerals as your first lens of choice.
Yeah, I mean, I do. It's patient by patient, but if it's a patient that has the option of it, and there's no barriers, whether that's cost, dryness, endothelium, whatever, I'll offer it to them. But most people actually go with the scleral, at least in my clinic.
Yeah. Well, and I think things that we as fitters sometimes do is we prejudge our patients, especially when it comes to cost.
Yep.
I know when I was in clinic, it was always I would always offer options: good, better, best,
Hmm.
and then talk about cost. And I would never let me make the decision for the patient. I would, and it's
Yeah.
always about your tone. It's about the way that you present those things to the patient, which is what's going to be best for them. And I think that's really important to see for, especially for new doctors or new fitters,
Absolutely.
to not prejudge their patients. So I think that's super important.
Yeah, and that's something that just as a quick aside, I think it's very important for new fitters to find someone that they can look to, like a mentor, or not even that official, just someone you can talk to about cases and things like that. And for me right now at the university, I'm working with Christine Sint, and so she's been an amazing help with, especially said like the prejudging thing. She was just like, these people, they want to see, and they'll do what it takes, and just lay out the options, and like you said, let them decide, or at least decide together, like give them the best information and try and figure it
Right.
out from there. Yeah.
Well, we've had Christine on the show, so
I know, I
yeah,
saw
it's
that
it's been a
episode. It
lot.
was
It was a lot
great.
of fun with her as well.
That was
Um,
actually funny. Right before you did your episode with her, I was actually, so as she sometimes she can be slightly late to things, and I
she's
was
busy.
and I was actually with her, and the phone was going off like, "Hey, I have to get to this meeting," and I was like, "Oh, well, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm going on with Dede," and then you were like talking to her as the door shut, and I was this close to bombarding the interview, but I'm a professional.
You would have been welcome.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, but
So, what do you feel the importance is or the place is for GP lenses in a practice in general?
so I can answer this question for like 30 minutes, but I'll give you like just a couple brief points here. One, of course, I think the easiest thing for anyone, even if you're not a specialty lens fitter, is having at least some GPs as like a trial lens set in your practice, so you can do like an RGP over refraction. At the very minimum, that will allow you to figure out where a visual decline is, if it's corneal related versus somewhere
Mm-hmm.
else. So even at a minimum, I would say that. But going a little further along than that, I usually recommend people who are starting to have at least a GP set and a scleral set. So you have options in case you can't get a good GP fit or something along those lines. And then once you start really diving in, I usually say 2 is nice, like 2 fitting sets minimum of each. So that way, if one doesn't work out right, you have something else you can try.
Right, because not every lens fits every patient, or not one lens fits every patient. So
yeah, sometimes it takes 50.
yeah, and I recommend that as well. Have a couple of different GP sets, get an aspheric set, get a standard GP set when you're talking about GPs, and then have 2 scleral lens designs. We do
Absolutely.
a lot of education for doctors on certain designs. And when we take that design, this design may not work for somebody, but there are other designs out there, or there, benefits and things like that. So that's one of the things that we do as well is teach.
Yep. Great. I love it.
So fantastic. All right, Marcus, I know that you have some special talents. Part of our show is also about the art that comes along with contact lenses, but we all tend to be artists in some form or fashion. Anybody that fits specialty lenses. So tell us a little bit about your hidden talents that nobody really knows.
So talent is a strong word. I'm attempting these things. I don't know if I'm talented at them, but yeah, some of the things that I like to do outside of specialty lenses is I've recently gotten into home brewing, which I know we've talked about a little bit, but
right.
me on the side. But basically, me and the fiance both do it, and we have done about 6 batches now, and I think there's 7 maybe, and I think only 2 of them worked. The rest of them were horrible. But and actually one of them flooded the basement when we were in a condo and our neighbor's basement. So that's what I'm saying. Talent is a strong word. But I will say the most recent batch that we made a ham flavored beer.
Ham?
Yes, ham.
Like
meat.
Bacon and ham?
Yeah. One of my friends, I guess, he just moved into town, and he has a ham party where you eat food with ham on it, I guess.
Okay.
He was like, I wish we could have a ham flavored beer. And there actually is a style of beer called a Rausch beer that tastes like smoky ham. And so I was like, let's try it. And it was probably, as weird as it sounds, our best beer.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I've had Rausch before.
Yeah. So, okay. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get that. I didn't think about it ham, but yeah.
Yeah. It was technically, I think it was like a cherry wood or something like that. But it was wild. And it's like you can have one. then you're tired of it. But yeah, so that's been really fun.
And then the other thing I understand you do is disc golf.
Yes. Me and the fiance again love doing disc golf. There's in Iowa, there's a lot of open land. So there's a lot of disc golf courses, which is a really fun, free thing to do. Like we were talking about earlier, we adopted a puppy recently. And so it's a fun outdoor activity that the dog can come for too. And I like to think of that as more of just an excuse to enjoy a sunny day
outside,
rather than like, I don't do competitions or anything like that. I'm not good. It's just a good way to go outdoors and enjoy a day.
Yeah, I used to play back in the day. I haven't in quite some time, but I had 2 dogs at the time, and I made pouches that laid over their backs, and they carried my frisbees, so I didn't have to.
Oh my gosh,
it was great.
I didn't do that. You made them?
I made them, yeah. Another hidden talent that
you need to like send me the blueprints or something. That's a genius idea, especially now that I found out my black lab is a mastiff. She needs to be carrying my discs.
Exactly. All right, Marcus, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited you were here. Fabulous time with you as always, and see you shortly, I'm assuming.
Yes, of course. At any time, I'm happy to hang out on or off the air. It's great to see you and do this. Finally, I've been watching the episodes, so it's cool to be invited to be a part of it. So thanks again.
All right, thanks, Marcus. And I'd also like to thank our sponsors today, ABB Optical Group, for all of their support for Dede Talks, the Art of Specialty Lenses.